Card sharks will not be seen today only in order to bring you the following special program.
Channel 5 Eyewitness News presents a special report. St. Louis, the last stop. Live coverage of President Carter's visit to St. Louis. Here's Channel 5 Eyewitness News reporter, Chris Condon.
A remarkable occasion, perhaps unforgettable. A crowd of about 45,000, at least maybe 50,000 on the approaches to the arch, waiting for the first family to show up on the lower deck and come out the gangplank. First person off was Congresswoman Sullivan, former Congresswoman Sullivan, the woman who saved this boat, who got an exemption from the Congress so it could stay afloat. Amy, Rosalind, and Jimmy Carter were up in the pilot house a few minutes ago, waving to the crowd. The Delta Queen docked some 15 or 20 minutes ago, ending a 650-mile trip from St. Paul. 7 days on the river for the Carter family. It's a happy crowd, obviously. Small group of demonstrators, even they seem to be in a good mood. Demonstrators on behalf of Homer G. Phillips Hospital. One was arrested a while ago, and their signs are scattered around the crowd. Now there seem to be some preparations on the lower deck, and I think it's just about time for the first family to come off. The president has made at least 20 stops down the river. The River Queen normally makes maybe half a dozen at the major towns en route in Iowa and Missouri. This time they stopped at a dozen additional communities where there were crowds so that the president could see them. The River Queen has excess capacity for speed, and so it was easily able to make up the schedule, the time it was lost as the president stopped to speak to these smaller crowds at the smaller communities. It is obvious in at least some sense a political trip. Iowa is very important to the president next year. The Iowa caucus will choose the first delegates to the convention in the nation. And now, the announcement, the president walks off with Amy and his wife, Rosalind. Amy has been a joy to the passengers, watching what she'll do next, and a trial to her Secret Service man who sometimes loses her in the crush. We can't see from our vantage point, but Mayor Conway should be the first to greet the president. Governor Teasdale, Congressman Harold Volkmer is down there from Hannibal, and Congressman Richard Icord from South St. Louis. The president will address the crowd from a podium that has just been set up. He will also honor the 10 millionth visitor to the arch to take the train up the arch. He turned out to be a gentleman from Alton, Illinois named Bill Bund. Described himself as 59 years old and semi-retired, and he'll be honored with a variety of gifts and a special plaque to be presented to him by the president. Some of the excursion boats here, the Samuel Clemens, the Huck Finn, the Tom Sawyer, were all upriver to escort the Delta Queen down here for the last 2 or 3 miles to get a close look at the boat to honor the president. And those boats were full. Some of them are even listing as the passengers on them get on this side of the boat now so that they can see what's happening over here. The president, having gone through the receiving line, now moves on up to Wharf Street, the area where the podium is set up. As you can see, he looks very happy again, as he did yesterday in Hannibal. It's been an immensely profitable trip for him, publicity-wise. and he has enjoyed every moment of it. The mayor and Mrs. Conway standing just to the left of Rosalynn. Harold Volkmer with the glasses just to the right of the president's wife. This is a really good crowd. Maybe 25,000 yesterday in Hannibal. I think maybe we ought to up our estimate at least 60, maybe 65,000. Covering the entire arch approach area. He could not be anything but delighted to see this kind of crowd. The Homer G people are waving their banners, but there are a lot more signs that say, "Welcome, Mr. President. Welcome, Jimmy Carter." Here's Mayor James Conway.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. As the mayor of the city of St. Louis, I extend to all of you my sincere thanks for being here this morning. Joining us here on the levee are members of our federal and state government that I would like for you to meet. First of all, welcome with me Missouri Senator John Danforth. Also with us today is Missouri Congressman Richard Gebhardt. And also from Hannibal, Missouri Congressman Harold Volkmer. And of course, our very own Missouri Governor Joseph P. Teasdale. I have also with me today Mrs. Conway and my son Danny. We are not here for the purposes of government today, however. This is family vacation time in Missouri. And we are pleased to offer a sincere happy landing to our nation's first family. Mr. President, I hope that you, Mrs. Carter, and Amy enjoyed your visit throughout the heartland of America. And as you step ashore, I want to express the greetings of all St. Louisans, and I ask you to consider this beautiful gateway arch as a symbol of our feelings. This arch is a spectacular monument to the pioneers who settled the West, but it also shows the feelings of all St. Louisans. Our welcome is as high and as wide as this beautiful arch and just as bright and as firm. We are proud to be known as the city of the Gateway Arch, but we are also the people of the river, and we are friends to all whom this river brings this way. Mr. President, I am very pleased to offer you a symbol of friendship of St. Louis, a specially produced key to the city, and I ask that you accept it as an expression of welcome from all of us here in the city of St. Louis. Mr. President, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, I am honored to present to you the President of the United States.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. How many of you agree with me that we live in the greatest nation on earth? For the last week, Rosalind and Amy and I, along with the other passengers on board the Delta Queen, have had one of the most remarkable and enjoyable weeks of our lives. We've not only seen the beauty of the Midwest, the lovely land, the hills, the mountains, we've also seen one of the mightiest rivers on earth that brings prosperity to this part of the country and gives us a reminder of what our history has been. But the most important thing to us has been to see the thousands and thousands of people who've come down to the banks of the Mississippi to make us feel welcome, to express your respect for our great country, and to take us into your arms and into your hearts as the president and the first family of our nation. Amy's had a good time, Rosen's had a good time, and so have I. We hate to see the trip end, but if it has to end somewhere, it could not possibly end in a more beautiful place and a more exciting place than under this tremendous arch here in St. Louis. It's my privilege, by the way, to announce the 10 millionth visitor to the top of the Gateway Arch who was selected this morning immediately before we arrived at this historic St. Louis site. His name is Bill Bond from Alton, Illinois, the 10 millionth visitor to your beautiful arch. I think Bill is here somewhere. Here's the 10 millionth visitors over here. Congratulations, Bill. He's right here. I'd like to say just a few words to you now about our country. We've got so much to be thankful for. Sometimes we forget how much God has blessed us in the United States of America. He's given us some of the richest land on earth, and we've seen it on both sides of the Mississippi River during the last week. This is indeed the breadbasket of the world, and if there's one tremendous strategic advantage that our nation presently has, and which will always be a weapon for peace and for the goodwill and the well-being of people in our own country and throughout the world, it's the food and the fiber produced in this tremendous Mississippi River basin because of the wonderful land that God's given us. I've had a chance to speak to a lot of farmers on the way down and to express my thanks to them from the bottom of my heart as president of our country. We've also seen the tremendous advantages that we have of a good transportation system with the river, and I believe in the future we can, with a good energy policy, have a much better transportation system no matter what kind of movement we want to use for goods or for people. We also have a nation in which we can enjoy individual freedom. The right to be individuals, to be ourselves, to be different, to make our own decisions, to control our own government, and to develop in the best way that we can according to our own abilities and our own talents. This is one of the things that we sometimes forget But I believe it's very important for us never to forget the freedom and the democracy that we have. A free enterprise system which lets us compete and lets us have innovation and lets us have new ideas to overcome problems. So we are blessed with the greatest nation on earth, unified. Nothing can stand in our way to resolving problems, overcoming difficulties, and answering serious questions. In the past, our nation's always been able to do this, as we have been faced with serious trials and temptations that threaten our country. In the First World War, the Second World War, the Great Depression, Americans recognized the threat to our country. We united together and we overcame it. Now we have a serious threat to our country that's not nearly so easy to understand, and so far we've not united enough to overcome it. And that's a threat to our nation's security brought about by excessive dependence on foreign oil. We import about half the oil we use. And along with oil that comes in from the Middle East, we also import unemployment and we also import inflation. We must do something about the energy challenge that faces us. There are two things that we can do. One thing is to save energy. Every American can save energy in your own life, in your own family, in transportation, in your homes, on your jobs. This is something the government can't do for you, but there are dozens of things that each one of you and each one of us can decide to do day in and day out that will be beneficial to our country and will also give us, in the same process, a better life. It doesn't make it good for us or more enjoyable for us when we waste what God's given us. So I ask all of you to help us conserve energy. And the second thing I'd like to ask you to do is to join in with me in helping to produce more energy in our own country. The Mideast OPEC nations, all put together, have less than 5% of the energy reserves in our world. The United States has 25% of all the energy reserves in the world. So what we must do is to produce more of our nation's energy. Oil, gas, coal, geothermal, with our tremendous cropland, more gasohol, use more solar power. This can make us secure in energy. Now that Congress has before it a windfall profits tax, which is being opposed by the oil lobby and which must be passed. Oil prices are going up in the future. And the basic question is, who is going to get the tremendous profits that come in that are unearned? The oil companies have not earned this profit, but they want to keep it. So with a windfall profits tax, we can take these profits and give them back to the American people for a better transportation system. To help the low and middle income families pay the increased cost of fuel, to insulate our homes, to have a better way to produce synthetic fuels. All these benefits can come to us when the Congress passes a windfall profits tax. We can have energy security. So I want to ask you to do two things in summary. One is save energy, and the other one is work with me and the United States Congress to overcome the oil lobby to pass a windfall profits tax to make our nation energy secure. Thank you. With a strong nation, we can stay at peace. We can keep our nation secure, and if you'll help me, I'll help you and the members of Congress here with me to pass a windfall profits tax to make the greatest nation on earth even greater in the future. Will you do that? Will you help me? Thank you all very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. President, you want to say a word?
Two groups here trying.
President would like to say just a word.
Rosalind Carter.
We've had a wonderful trip on the beautiful Mississippi River. The countryside is spectacular. I believe and I wish that every person in our country could take the trip that we've had and just see what we have in our country. It is so beautiful. We've enjoyed it. Amy's enjoyed it. The people along the way, you two, have made it very special for us. It's a week that Jim and I both will never forget. Thank you all for coming out today. We love you.
Amy?
Amy has been sitting down through the speech. She just was brought to her feet by her parents and asked to say something, and she's going to say hi.
Hi.
How's that for a short speech? Thank you very much, everybody. We love every one of you. Thank you.
There were two groups here which tried to get attention from the president, tried in a mild way to disrupt the occasion. The supporters of Homer G. Hospital and a union demonstration protesting the oil crunch. And they certainly heard the president address himself to that problem here this morning. The president is now meeting with the man who was the 10 millionth visitor to the Arch. Moving along, going to shake presumably as many hands as he can reach. The crowd is surging forward now. It was interesting, of course, if you were anti-Carter, you probably wouldn't be here, but there were no boos for the president. On the other hand, our governor did get a mixed reception. His schedule is very tight in St. Louis, so there isn't going to be very much handshaking. He must literally have shaken 10,000 hands yesterday in Hannibal, almost all the people there. Republican Senator from Missouri, Jack Danforth, was here. Democratic Senator Tom Eagleton was not. Eagleton's office has been at pains to point out it is not because he is miffed over the presidential rejection of Joan Kroskoff of the University of Missouri School of Law as a federal appeals judge. It's simply that Senator Eagleton is on vacation in New England and did not want to interrupt his time with his family. President closely escorted by Secret Service men, at least 8 of them. From here, a motorcade out to the Hilton Inn, where the president meets with political leaders, federal, state, and local, in a private conference that is expected to last maybe 30-40 minutes. Then it's over to Lambert Field, to a private section of the field, the Rockwell section where Air Force One is waiting. It will take him back to Andrews Air Force Base, and from there, for the weekend at least, to Camp David. The trouble is, as he works this crowd, the crowd is 100 deep. So he's only getting to the people at the front, and when you're down here on the level, you can't even see him if you're 10 or 20 back. You've got to be back up on the hill. The St. Louis Symphony Youth Orchestra entertaining Stars and Stripes Forever. These are mostly older people who traveled along with the president. It was not quite the quiet, restful cruise they expected, but they were all, the ones we spoke with yesterday in Hannibal, all of them thrilled to have gone down the Mississippi with the President of the United States. There was constant entertainment day and night as the President made unscheduled stops, jogged when they went through the locks, and as they followed the activities of the Carter family. The Carters mingled with the passengers. They must have met all of the passengers. All that we talked with had personally met the Carters. They were enchanted with Amy's activities. Most described her as a typical mischievous little girl. She found 4 or 5 young ladies on the boat of about her age, and they formed a kind of a clique. This is the second visit, by the way, of the President of the United States, Mr. Carter, to St. Louis since becoming president. He was here not too many months ago. I think it's about 5 months now, for an energy speech. As we noted before, it's been a crowd out to enjoy the sight of the president, the sight of the Delta Queen, and the conjunction of the two. A few protesters, people with messages for the president. One of the Homer G. Phillips demonstrators was hauled off before the president stepped ashore. That was really the only incident, and a minor one. It is really a remarkable turnout. It was Senator Howard Baker of Tennessee who gave the president the idea of going down the river on the Delta Queen. And I think Mr. Baker, who is a presidential aspirant on his own, might regret having given the president that advice, because it has obviously assisted the president in garnering a great deal of national attention, most of it favorable. Some people perhaps might think that he should have been in Washington. On the other hand, I suppose the president is entitled to a vacation, and he certainly made it a working vacation. He was speaking on every possible occasion to various groups along the way about the problems of the nation, particularly the energy problem. He had a lot of things to say, including some new things about the situation along the Mississippi, the Alton Lock and Dam. He expressed a desire to help further and speed the development of a new lock and dam up at Alton, which is, of course, sorely needed for barge traffic on the Mississippi. And he has suggested using the dams along the Mississippi, the other great rivers of the United States, to produce hydroelectric power. A great new source, he said, of hydroelectric power. He's urged the Army engineers to get into that just as quickly as they possibly can. This has been Chris Condon from the riverfront, the visit of the President of the United States, arriving after a 7-day journey on the Delta Queen.
This has been a Channel 5 Eyewitness News special report. Live coverage of President Carter's visit to St. Louis. We'll have further coverage on the midday news. We now rejoin our regular program.